3-0. As much as we talked about Proton Gaming and how they've been getting better and better, and how they're in that conversation of top 16, legitimately fighting for top 12, and maybe even getting into that top 8. When they run hot, they did get swept. Talk to me about this matchup here.
I don't remember the game modes. I think we were just, again, I think we're a resilient team. We played extremely well against Sin, and we just kind of kept that momentum going into that series. And like they came out so hot at us against us in Charlotte. I don't think any of us will ever make the mistake of like doubting them again in a lot of ways. Like I don't want to like act like we're looking at them as if they were bad, but like because they're not by any means. I think it was just one of those things where it was like, it's just when you compete, it's weird. Sometimes it's just like, you feel like you're playing really well against some teams, and like you come up against a team, you're like, yeah, we should beat them easily. And I mean, like they should have went up 2-0 on us in Charlotte. I mean, most people don't know that.
What are you doing?
Like they were absolutely destroying us on Livefire Hill, and then they were up 48-36 in Recharge Slayer, and we beat them.
Wow.
So like, yeah, they should have went up 2-0 against us at Charlotte. So I don't think we'll ever doubt them again. So that's unfortunate for them in that sense, because yeah, we'll always play our best, like try to play our best against them from now on, because they scared the shit out of us, I think, at Charlotte.
I think they scared a lot of teams. I think they put a lot of teams on notice that like they're a real
deal. Too. Yeah,
they're a real deal. In case you want to know the games, I have to have it on screen. You guys, 250-222 them in Livefire Strongholds, 50-43 on Empyrean Slayer, and then a dominant 263-134 win on Oddball Streets was the 3-0.
I think Bark had 3 minutes of ball time and like paused 17 that game too.
That's a pretty damn bit of and
Brian.
Yeah, Brian, he's right. He's right. You're damn right about it. What is that? 172 seconds worth of oddball time. On top of that, 66 kills, 20 assists, only dying 45 times, a decent amount of damage. Although I'm gonna talk to Tasha about this damage stat, because I done found something pretty crazy that I guess so when the damage stat is calculated, if I put 3 shots on somebody, it does 108 damage. If they shoot them one time with the BR in the head, it does 114 damage. Their 1 shot to the head gets multiplied and does more damage than my 3 shots to the body. I hate that. I shot him more. Like, what do you mean? Sorry, that's a fast forward to another day. 3-0 native white move on. But before we get there, we talked about Shopify. Well, actually, I'm sorry. We talked about the Team Avengers. We actually haven't talked about Shopify Rebellion. In case you guys forgot, we did it behind the screen with Carbea not too long ago. Exclamation mark Carbea in the chat. Carbea, Mental, Rain, and Ryan Noob. You said it before. I was stalking y'all for a bit. And right after Worlds, y'all were scrimming like what 2 or 3 days after Worlds? I don't even know. It's crazy. Y'all got to work immediately.
Yeah, it was pretty soon after.
Y'all was screaming. You were screaming with this trio. Talk to me about Rebellion.
Yeah, I mean it's a Ryan Noob team, right? And I'll give a lot of credit to Tim there too. Rain, he has kind of been a big purveyor of that system and that playstyle as well. I think where it fell apart for me is that I think there's fundamental disagreements on philosophy between me and Ryan in a lot of ways. This is one of those cool things where like I've teamed with Ryan. I won a tournament with Ryan, right? And I still respect the shit out of his mind. His brain is different. He's a very intelligent player, and he's a very intelligent like strategist. I fell into a version of Halo that is very simplified. And I'm a big champion of simplifying the game and winning the game in a simple way, right? And he likes to win the game in a very calculated, strategic, teamwork-based way. Both work, both are good. I just don't like that play style anymore. I think it complicates things, and I think, and again, this is all personal opinion. Like, obviously, they've seen success, so like it's one of those things where like I'm not bashing it. It's just one of those things where like you're gonna have weeks that it's really good, and you're gonna have weeks that it's really bad, and I am just fearful of that that bad week falling at the wrong time, right? Or happening at the wrong time. So yeah, the simplified way in like my brain and like the way that I kind of like the way that I champion and like and stress how to play Halo, it's very consistent, but it is one of those things where you do have to be on your A game, right? But that to me has always been something where you make sure that you have 4 people who are consistently practicing, consistently playing, and consistently making sure that they're at their best self. Ryan system's great because like you could be technically playing bad but still seeing success. But the problem is that if the dominoes aren't falling correctly, or if the teamwork isn't really good in the moment or something, then the whole system kind of falls apart. So that's Shopify, like in a nutshell. They can put teams into a blender and 3-0 a team that you would not expect, and then they can lose to a team that you wouldn't really expect. I think that they're really susceptible to losing to the really fast teams, kind of similar to G1.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you give Shopify and SSG a FaZe, a Red or something like that kind of play style, that they're not gonna. That's where they're gonna struggle the most, and I think you saw that with the United as well.
Yep, same thing. Lethal once said Ryan Noob had us in hypnosis at one point in time. He literally tweeted that. I remember it was Orlando. It was one of the Orlandos. It was fun. Even in traditional sports, you have teams that win championships based on defense, team that win championships based on offense, and sometimes that defense, bend but don't break strategy will work, but sometimes it breaks. Like I don't know if that's a fair comparison to make. When talking about Rebellion or talking about
it's really close. Yeah, it's really close.
But sorry.
Sorry, no, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say there's pretty much, at the end of the day, there's so many different ways that you can go about it. Like you could be the Suns, back in the day, you could be the Spurs. Either way, two styles can win. It's just how you shake it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's just refining that type of stuff. And I've been in this so long, I know what I like and what works for me. And it's not personal. It's not like I think that. It's not like I'm sitting there like, wow, Ryan Noob's dog shit. Like I would never do that. It's one of those things where it's just like it just didn't work for me, and I know what works for me, and I wanted to find something that was a better fit for myself.
If one of you clip that, I'm gonna smack the crap out of. They like doing that when they'll clip like these like out of moment things. I swear I'm about to smack the crap out of one of you.
They do it to Ryan. It's fine. He'll know that it was probably out of context. Ryan is fully aware of how I feel about him.
Yeah, of course.
I've made it explicitly clear to him. I've never sugarcoated stuff with Ryan. So.
Going into round number 3, and we talked about the objective efficiency of SSG, and dare I say that you've matched up against them a few times,
like 17 times at this point, right?
A few, and so far, there's been a wall there. SSG ended up 3-1ing you guys to make it into the top 4. You have any words for that matchup?
I mean, I think every time we play them, I think we all feel a little bit more comfortable. They're a great team, and I think we all have really good mindsets of understanding that those guys didn't miss a finals last year. So it's, again, I think this team is really special in a lot of ways because we're completely fine with the hard work in front of us, and getting 3-0'd 3-1 by them, like. We're extrapolating a lot of data out of that every time, and that team is never going to be easy to beat. Same with FaZe, same with Optic. Like no team is actually easy to beat, but those 3 specifically, and Red as well for us. Like those 4 specifically are never going to be easy for us to beat. It's just about figuring out how to get there. So, yep. Unfortunately, we play them every single time. I think at this point, and it is what it is. The upside of that is that we're making it far enough in the tournament to play them every time. So again, it's sometimes with competition, people like to get into really defeated mentalities and negative mindsets. Me taking that break was really good for my mindset in the sense of like, yo, we're getting to the point in the bracket that we're playing against a team that didn't miss the finals last year every time. So there's a win there, and there's also things that you need to do to be the team that can beat them.
I mean, the way I look at it is you guys are legitimately fight for top 4, and it's going to be like that for a long time, if not for all year. And if you're going to take that next step and make it to the top 3, there's no ifs, ands, but yeah, you got to go through SSG. Exactly. Like if you're gonna take that next step, you got to go through SSG. Like I think you have the right mindset. You know, we're making it this far to begin with. So we're here.
and that's not to be like confused with like I am pissed when we lose to them, right?
Yeah,
it's not like they're like, oh yeah, sweet dude, lost to me. Like I'm not like that. I'm pissed, but I'm also aged enough and matured enough to understand that like, again, if we're gonna lose to these people, the time is now. We got time before the Invitational. We got time before the next major, and it's just good reps for us. I think our team is just really, it's built really well for that type of stuff. We're figuring that stuff out.
Your cousin's native red did 3-2 the Avengers after Avengers 3-2 Rebellion. I wouldn't say an upset. Like I feel like Avengers are on the up and up, but let's not forget who Native Red are, kind of thing. And yeah. I'm excited to watch your two rivalry from going forward. It's gonna be just as fun as you going against SSG. I'm gonna love watching you going up against Native Red. How do you feel about Native Red with the 3-2? The Native Pink. How does it feel to be not as superior, like to be inferior to Native Black, who was once captained by King Jade? I'm joking. Talk to me about Native Red and Avengers.
Well, obviously with the point stuff, it was weird because I don't know, the whole red thing is weird because like I want them to do well because they're part of Native, but at the same time they're hot on our heels for points, so like I need them to lose. So like I was sitting there like kind of conflicted, but yeah. No, I mean they're a great team. I think if you talk about SSG as gatekeepers, I think Red are the gatekeepers as well. I think Druck not being able to make it to Charlotte was unfortunate because I do think that top 4, top 3 gatekeep is Red and SSG are kind of the defenders of that. And for obvious reasons, I think both are extremely good teams. So I have Red in that category where like, you know, they're very good. And I'm not really surprised when they beat people. And I'm not really surprised if like, I'm also not really surprised that they end up in the top 6 range just because of like, you know, way brackets and stuff work out. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a good win for them. I think they reverse swept them in that too. So I think, again, resilient team. I think Avengers also kind of just ran out of gas at the end.
Native Red have a really wide range, and I think kind of alluded that to it. Like, you know, they could beat anybody in the league, but they also lose to anybody in the league. You know, the same way if you told me that they beat out SSG 3-1 is the same way that I, you know, watched them get swept by Proton Gaming. Like I feel like I really feel like their range is that wide. And eventually we do find out that SSG are able to 3-1 them again. They make top 4, and SSG are a tough matchup for anybody, I guess, who was in FaZe or Optic, and even then, it's still tough for them as well. Spacestation Gaming 3-1 Native Red.
Yep. I mean, again, it's those guys that did not miss the finals last year. I have nothing but respect for all of them. I think Red can get the better of them sometimes, but it's just you just can't count on SSG, especially as the longer the bracket goes and the later in the bracket, the better and better SSG is. So, yeah, you usually want SSG early if you do get them. So, yeah, I mean, I played against them in the series before I knew they were playing well. Like we were playing really well, and they still clutched up and beat us in a couple of the games that we felt like we should have won. So, I was not surprised when I saw that.
Well, FaZe are one of the teams that didn't want to see them early. Yeah, they had to see them late because I got this is where I started casting, so I got to see it firsthand. Spacestation did take FaZe to Game 5 in the winners bracket, right up top. In that elimination finals, we saw the most exciting 3-0 I've ever seen in my life. I'll bring it up real quick, but and mind you, I can't say I'm surprised that FaZe beat out SSG. FaZe are damn good. I'm surprised that they got 3-0'd. As I look for the actual matchup, I just found it right now. You have 284 to 215 on Oddball Livefire, Aquarius 50 to 45, and then a 3-2 King of the Hill for 3-0 for FaZe.
Yeah, I mean, this game is one of those things I've learned pretty quickly the last month. But at that top level, like if you make a mistake, like everyone always likes to use like the kind of cliche term of like if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. But dude, in this game, it's like if you give them if you give those three teams, and Red is included as well. So I always say the three because it's just easier. But like if you give the top teams like any like ground to stand on, it just turns into a snowball for them for however long of time until they screw up usually. So like I see that's a 3-0, but that's like that to me looks like it was like 5 plays away from being SSG's 3-0.
Yeah.
So like that's the more surprising thing to me is like it, and I'm sure SSG probably felt the same way, like fuck, we should have won that. Yeah, I mean that's just kind of the nature of this game though. So while it's a 3-0, like, and I love people always love to look at it and be like, yo, it's just that they got 3-0, they got swept. It's like, yeah, technically true, but if when you really dissect it, if it was close. Like how close were the slays too? Because that's important against FaZe. It's like I don't really like stats, but like this the slays. So yeah, that's a difference maker right there, right? Like look at how big that slay difference is, and look at the scores of the games. Like that's like a 5 play, 6 plays. Like maybe 2 plays per game that could have gone the other way, and SSG can 3-0 it.
And I feel like if you're gonna go get SSG, especially an objective, like you gotta overslay them. They're like the moment they spawn up, like they're taking real estate on the map. Like some way, somehow they're there, they're present. So I feel like you kind of have to overslay against them. And yeah, like you said, losing out by 1 hill, losing out by 5 kills. You're talking about a few plays, and this is SSG's if not 3-0, definitely taking 2 out of the 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually FaZe they heat up after that. They go into the grand finals, and they must have been feeling themselves or something, because they go into that grand finals and they 4-1 Optic and look damn good while doing it. Go into a bracket reset. FaZe are up 2-0. Optic do match them with the winning 2 of their own. FaZe take the swing game 4 to go up 3-2. And then go into their second best game type according to the stats, which was Oddball. And Optic looked good on that Oddball, win it out, send it to a game 7. And in that game 7, it was a good match, but Optic looked dominant in that game 7. But to that point, FaZe, they, again, 4-1, up 2-0, up 3-2, going into their second best game. I feel like FaZe had multiple times to win it, but the green wall that stands tall. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I watched the 4-1 and I thought it was going to be like kind of a slam dunk at that point for FaZe, honestly. So I went out to the couch and was like hanging out with my girlfriend and like didn't even really watch. The next thing I know, I saw that they were up like 44 to like 25 or something. It's in game 7. I was like, oh shit, they won it. I think APG said something in the process that was really interesting to me, where like, we all talked about CLG, Tox, Optic, like whatever the hell you want to call them, but like that team in Halo 5, like you have to put them down when you can, right? Like you have to win the games when they're there, because if you don't, like every game that you like you give up or like get away from you, it basically means that you're not going to beat them. So basically from the sounds of it, what you said is like FaZe gave up one of their best modes, and then they also gave up like a 2-0 lead, right? So it's just you when a team gets as good as Optic is and as prepared as they are and as really resilient as they're becoming, or I don't even want to say becoming, as they are, like they're just clutch and they're winners for a reason, and you have to put teams of that caliber away when you can. And I think FaZe is in that category as well. But then you get up there and then it's a game of inches. right? That was something when we were on Envy and we were playing against the Optic guys, Tox, like whatever the hell you want to call them, but we always talked about it, like put them away when we have opportunities to do so. Like do not, like if we can go up 3-0, go up 3-0. You need as much cushion against these guys as possible, because it's just like just because you're up 3-0 doesn't mean you're going to win the series. Just because you're up 2-0 doesn't mean you're going to win the series. I mean, even less of a chance at that point. So yeah, I think FaZe is probably saying some very similar stuff of giving Optic the respect that they deserve, but also recognizing that, like, I mean, technically, so were the games even for them across the weekend? Because the Optic 3-0'd them, then FaZe 4 won them. That would be 4-4. So it was an 8-7 record for Optic total for the weekend.
3-0. Then they took one in that game, so 4. Then 4, so 8, and then
yeah, we had 8-7 for Optic.
8-4. Yeah, you're right. 8-4. Sorry, I'm not good at math.
Yeah. So like that's fucking close, dude. Like and it's one of those things where I'm sure FaZe is feeling pretty good. I'm sure Optic is feeling pretty good too. So it was fun to watch. Like I pulled up the like I said, the grand finals was really good, but like every series with them has been pretty crazy, it seems. So definitely good if I peel back and stop being a competitor. It's very good, like high quality Halo being played.
Fast forward to Worlds, and not even saying it's the grand finals, just saying Optic and FaZe match up again, whether and it's for one of the tournament lives, whether it's grand finals, whether elimination finals, whatever it is, Optic and FaZe match up again. Best of 7 series happens, but this at the end of the year. Do Optic take it again?
I have a lot of respect for those FaZe guys. Like I have a lot of respect for like PJ and Brad and Matt specifically. Like, obviously, I respect John too. But like something about teams with Snakebite and Frost and Royal 2 on it, like as the year goes on, they get better and better. Optic showed that last year though too, so it seems like it's kind of like a mirror match in that sense. So I'm gonna hedge my bets again, and I don't know. It's gonna go Game 7.
Okay, all right, I'll take it.
Like I think it's gonna go Game 7 almost every time. If it doesn't ever go Game 7, I think it'll actually be. If it doesn't go Game 7, it's gonna be FaZe playing really well and like winning like 4-2 or something. But I think if it goes Game 7, I give the edge to Optic. I give the edge to Optic in the Game 7, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I think if FaZe wins a tournament this year, and I do think they will win one at least.
Of course.
Because this is just so close at this point, right? Like it's ridiculous how close these series are. It's sooner or later it's gonna go like in the favor of FaZe in some sense. That's just the way that it goes. And that's not to say that like Optic would be playing bad or anything. It's just I think FaZe is a very strong team. They're both very strong teams, and it's obviously Game 7 no Charlotte, Game 7 here. Like it's just seems to be the way of the road for them. So yeah, late in the year Worlds, like I want to give the edge to the FaZe guys, but Optic has shown their work ethic and stuff is just like very strong. So definitely goes Game 7. Then it depends on the map and mode at that point.
I've stolen over an hour of your time, and I apologize. Hey, I love hearing you talk about Halo. I said it before, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I love hearing you talk about Halo. If you have to go, we won't take any offense. There was a few people within my Discord community that asked a few questions, maybe like 4 or 5 quick questions. Would you mind if I just ask you those real quick, or do you have to go?
Yeah. I'm good. I'm not doing anything.
Awesome. Then I'm gonna ask 10 or 11. This is from Riggs JW. How much practice does Mikwen put in to prepare for a tournament like this? Okay, what does the practice look like?
So right now we're scrimming. I think we're a little bit lighter the next 2 weeks because the 4K is not for like another 3. So we're actually, this is something with experience that you learned that it's okay to take breaks. But yeah, we're scrimming. I think we're scrimming 5 times a week. So that's 5 scrims a week, and then you have to play on your own. So I mean, it's probably like 80 hours a week, maybe.
80 hours.
Yeah, most likely. But
I
I
love how
mean,
you said it's okay to take breaks, and it's like 80 hours.
yeah, so like scrims are what, about 4 hours. So that right there is 20 of it, and that's like the real work. Playing on your own time and stuff is like every hour of that is like 10 minutes of like real work, I would say.
Yeah.
So like, you know, it's relative. It's 80 hours of playing and stuff, but it's not like maybe closer to 60, 70, something like that. It just depends as you get closer to the tournament and stuff. It's you ramp up as you get closer to the tournament and stuff too. So, you know, it's definitely different. I'm trying to look at my Steam stats right now and see how many hours I put in the last 2 weeks.
Dude, if I told you how many matchmaking games I have in this game, you would probably vomit, bro. I have like 5,000 matchmaking games, bro.
I mean, it's okay, like, grind. There's nothing wrong with that. So the past 2 weeks, I put 100 hours. It's about 50 hours a week right now.
Okay, still a lot.
Yeah.
So it's over a full-time job, full-time plus overtime. Hey, Native, you paying him time and a half? Derange, I know you in here. You paying time and a half?
I'm well immersed by Dean, so we're good. 80 hours is fine with me if I have to do it.
What does he? What do you think of your own personal performance throughout the tournament, that being the 4K?
I'm really hard on myself, so like I expect like a really high level of play. I think this weekend was the first time I kind of showed myself that I'm capable of doing it again. I was kind of like the teams that I played really well against, I think I played really well against. I just have to get more consistent against the really good teams. That's really where I'm focused right now, is just getting more consistent against the SSGs, the FaZes, the Reds, and the Optics. I think I've gotten over that hump where like I'm getting back to myself in a lot of ways. So I was very happy with it, but like at the same time, I was happy with the progress, but understand that there's still more to go.
Thank you for being honest, open up like that. We appreciate it. And I guess this kind of goes to what you're saying a little bit. So this is by the way, that last question by Trigger Happy. This was by Gary. At what point did you realize that you were back and the rust is gone?
Still not feeling that 100%. Like I said, I hold myself to an incredibly high standard. I think this weekend was the first time that I felt like I was genuinely shaking the rust off. Since I've been back, so it's been what, 2.5 months, about 2.5 months technically. So in about 60 days or 75 days or something, I feel like I'm finally starting to shake it off. But there's definitely still some rust there in a lot of ways. Not with like, I don't know, it's weird. It's just like timing stuff. It's stuff that like you have to play to get out. And play against the best players to get out. So again, it goes back to kind of that whole scrim strategy that I have, where you play the best players. That exponentially increases the rate in which you get better. So especially for myself. So yeah, there's not a true answer to that question because I technically still feel the rust, but this last weekend was the first time I felt like I was actually starting to shake it off.
Well, you might end up repeating something you said again, but this is a follow-up question from Gary saying, have you done anything specific to get yourself into tournament-ready shape? That was a follow-up to the question about shaking off the rust.
No, because I think my playstyle and like my mindset is tournament ready. Like we saw at Charlotte, like I played like shit individually, stat wise, and like even for myself at Charlotte. But when I have to buckle down, I will. I don't know why my brain does that. It's really annoying. But so I felt tournament ready the whole time, like in a lot of ways. Like I knew that I could perform well enough and be impactful enough to get a decent placing. I just knew that it was going to take a lot of work to get back to like in the conversation of possibly winning. And that's my goal. Like I didn't come back to place fourth. Like I'm happy with that in a lot of ways, and the way that we did it, and that I was able to take a 5-year break and come back and still place top 4. Like it's pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
But like I have a champion mindset. I want to fucking win. So like I know that that's a process though. That's not an overnight thing. That takes time, and I know that I set myself back in a lot of ways to get to that point. But luckily I have the resources and I have the brain and the mindset of getting back there. So that's the biggest thing, is I know I can do it. It's just about getting there. So there's not really like anything specific. I am lucky enough that I've been doing this for a very long time. So I know the process and I know the path forward. It's just it's people hate when I say this type of stuff, because it's not anything specific that makes you a winner. It's actually experiencing it. And
oh yeah,
it's a tough thing to tell people, because it's like, yeah, to become a winner you have to win. Like that's basically what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
But it's true. So there's things that you can do that really increase your chances to become a winner, and that's work hard and like make sure that you are accountable and that you're on time and that you're always like, you're doing the things that you can actually control. But at the end of the day, I think if you look at a lot of high level sports, there's been people that hit all those, like, they have all that. They're accountable. They're very skilled. They do everything, and they still couldn't get a championship. And there's a little bit of luck to it, I would say. And so to get that winner's mindset that truly does turn you into like a winner and a champion, it takes getting there and doing it. And a lot of times it takes losing in the finals a couple times.
Yeah, it's hard to measure. Like, it's easier to measure success when you go through like pain, but I love the fact that you even said just like it sounds crazy. It sounds tough, but like in order to become a winner, you got to win. Like I compare it this way. Like think about whatever the best food that you ever eat in your life, and tell me if you only had it one time. Like I used to love ribeye. I love steak. I'm a big steak guy. Ribeye, filet mignon. I've now moved to filet mignon. There's no way in my life that I'm going to have filet mignon only one time. Like if I, if you go to a Gordon Ramsay restaurant once in your life, you're gonna eventually go there again. Once you get a taste of something, you want it again. And
yeah,
even on another level, like Mark Cuban said, at some point during your life, he said fly first class. He said fly first class, or if you can fly private. And he said the reason for that is because you're going to work 10 times harder than you ever have so that you could do it again. So that you can fly private again. So that you can fly first class again. Yeah. And it kind of, I don't know what you said, kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah, it's similar in the sense of the feeling of it. Like the when you win, you always hear like the cliche, like, there's no other feeling like it, right? Like it is cliche, and I know it's annoying for fans to like hear that of like, dude, I want to hear how you're actually feeling. But I like genuinely, once you win, like you don't know how to explain it, especially the first time. You're like, I'm happy, but like that's obvious, right? Of course you're happy, but it's like, it's so, I guess the best word to put it is just so fucking validating. Like all this time that you put in, all this effort that you put in, all the stresses that you went through, all the arguments that you went through with your teammates, all the fun times you had with your teammates, like all of that comes screaming back to you. And you're like, holy shit, that was all fucking worth it. And once you experience that, yeah, you always want that feeling again. And it's like an addict chasing a high in a lot of ways of like, yeah, I want to get back to that one. Nothing ever feels as good as the first one. I'm sure a world championship would, but nothing ever feels as good as the first one. But I was more speaking to the mindset and the personality and kind of the I don't want to say swagger, but like the things, the skill, this weird skill set that occurs once you've won, that becomes a part of you in a lot of ways. And there's no other way to teach that other than for you to actually win. Because I guess it is related to that feeling of like all of those moments come back and you're like, holy shit, that was worth it. You understand that an argument with a teammate isn't detrimental to the team. You understand that being hard on people isn't detrimental to the team. You understand that hanging out with your teammates and spending time with your teammates is very important to the winning process. You understand that taking time off is important. Like all of these things that you did to get to this point, and like all of the things that compounded and created this moment of you actually winning, you then can look back and go, holy shit, that's why I did it. Right. And you can't get to that point until you've actually done it. And it's one of those things that like, it was very like eye-opening for me once we actually did it. I was like, damn, that was all stuff that like I wasn't doing before then. And it seems so small and it seems so irrelevant, but it's also important.
Well, I was gonna do one or two more questions. But I think it's a perfect place to end it right there, guys. I don't. There's no way we're gonna get better than that right there, guys. That was your HS Weekly Report and then some. We did a little mini interview. We broke down the tournament. We asked some community questions as well. We went all around on that one. Again, Austin, it is always a pleasure. I'm gonna be right back in your DMs asking you about another project, but I'm gonna talk to you about that a little bit later. Again, it's always a pleasure. Is there anything you want to say to anybody else watching the video? And then also just let us know where we can find you. You know, are we streaming? Are we on social media? Where can we find you?
I'm pretty head down right now. I'm not even really tweeting too much. My Twitch is Mikwen. My Twitter's Mikwen. But I am, like I said, kind of chasing that high a little bit. So I guess you can find me at the tournaments when they're happening, and you can see when we're playing, because I'm going to be kind of a ghost until then outside of stuff like this. So yeah, no, I mean, it's like, obviously I think a lot of the success I'm pretty much going to be grateful for the rest of my life to Dean, Deranged Native, and everyone over at Native for giving me the opportunity last year to come out of the org and make this kind of happen. And it's been crazy. It's been a crazy fucking year, that's for sure.
Well, hopefully it's gonna be continue to be crazy, but crazy in a good way. And I already know that success is nothing but in your future, man. Just from hearing how passionate you are, just the skill and what you guys have done so far, and somehow knowing that's just the tip of the iceberg. The journey's gonna be long, and we from everybody in the chat and everybody watching the video, I can tell you that we love you, and I'll say it again, love hearing you talk Halo, guys. We're gonna close out the video.